Alrighty, K1GMM. Hey, I got something for you guys. I swore I'd never do this again, but this is so cool, and it solved an issue that I've been having for a long time, about 3 years. One is the overshoot I get not running the AGC on the Sun Expert software. This is V2. I'm assuming it will work on V3 as well. Don't know. Don't care. This is, you'll notice I have Enable Mic AGC off, and under Processor here, if you go to the AGC, I do not run that. The reason why is because I've never been able to get it to work without it pumping. Keep in mind, I have a very critical ear. All right, so what I've done, so I use the rack. I'm very fond of the rack. I do not like the DAW, although it works great. And I want to get things under control. Now, as you guys know, I'm a baritone. I have a low voice. I'm on the P220 right now, and I have a very difficult time getting the low end out of the audio. I was talking to Glenn K4GHC this morning, talking about this, and we've been kind of knocking this around for a little while. So I decided to go to work and try to, so in a nutshell, I bring the audio from the rack direct into the radio through a direct box, all right? I like doing it that way. That's just me. So if you look, what I decided to do was I decided to bring in the processor, engage some of the processor functions in the Expert software. This is V2, and this is a Sun SDR2DX, right? So what I did was I created a series of profiles. So if you go in here, click profile, you'll see 3K DX, 3.6K, 4K, and 3 kilohertz low frequency roll off. That's a 3K LFRO. And that's my general 3K chatterbox. Right. So what I did was, let me show you really quick. And I got a little present for you guys running the Sun, and I'll make this available. So before I leave this page, you'll see the option to import and export. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to export all of these profiles, and I'm going to put them up on the website, which is linked in all of the descriptions of my videos, my most recent videos in the past like 2 or 3 years, right? And you go to the website, I'm going to have a dedicated SDR2DX page, Expert EE software page. And you'll be able to download these profiles and import them. I think it would be a great place to start if you have a low voice and you're having a hard time getting the low end stripped out of the audio. This works a freaking treat. It works great and gives you really good control over the, like I've said in the past, when you take rec audio gear and you try to put it into a radio, it's like throwing a nitromethane funny car engine into a Volkswagen Beetle. These radios were never designed, even an Anon was never designed to handle stuff like this, right? Anon does a great job, but I'm not dealing with that right now and getting it under control. All right, this is for Sun owners. And for folks who want to have a good variety of audio. You know, let's say you work a little bit you're a little wider, right? 3.6, 4K wide, and you want that really bombastic ESSB Voodoo stuff, like what you're hearing right now, right? But you want to go work some DX. Well, this audio, anybody who runs this audio on this for like DX is an idiot. They really are. You know, come on, really? But you know what they say about opinions. That's my opinion. Yeah, it stinks like a toilet bowl. But I actually, when I hear that crap and I'm trying to work DX, I actually use 140 hertz roll-off, low frequency roll-off to roll the bass out of it, because like I've said a million times, when the signals are marginal, you don't want that, because that's all you hear. You don't hear the articulation of the audio. So most people don't set up their audio to have enough energy in the top end, which is incredibly annoying to me. So, you know, when you got a signal that's an S3 to S5, no. 20 over, sure. This stuff works great, right? Sounds awesome. But oftentimes when you're on 17 and up, sometimes 20 and up, you may have an S5 signal in there. You don't need audio like this. You're actually shooting yourself in the foot. So, all right, moving on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to export all of these profiles, and so you can import them and load them right into your expert software, and it'll probably give you a starting point. Now, this is for guys that have, like I said, a low voice. Let's say you're like mine, and you have a really hard time getting the low end out, and it just seems to be heavy all the time. It's really annoying. So here we go. I'm going to demo some of this. All right, so this is the 3K-DX. As I showed you, I'm on a 3K-DX profile running 140 hertz to 3 kilohertz. And this is my DX profile. All right, and this is for, oftentimes I'm trying to work guys, and I'm like in a 3 to 5, a 5.3, right? That's pretty weak, piss weak. All right, so let me just step through this really quick. 3K-DX. What I did was I went to filters and I put a low pass and high pass in. So I have 140 hertz high pass and a 3 kilohertz low pass. So if you look over here at the graph, pretty much everything below 140 hertz is rolled off, and everything above 3 kilohertz is rolled off, right? May want to stretch this out. I haven't played enough with it. You may want to stretch this too, because you'll notice it's not a steep skirt. So you may, if you're running 3 kilohertz wide on your transmit profile up here, the radio's trying to pass 3 kilohertz, but this may be shutting down a little bit of the 3 kilohertz. So you may want to move this out to let's say 3.1, 3100 or 3200. You're going to have to play with this. All right, so that being said, I don't run any noise gate. Now, keep in mind, I have a rack running into the radio. So this is post-processing the rack. All right, compression, I run a 1.2 to 1. I found that anything above a 1.2 to 1, it starts going into the crunch zone, and I don't like it. I have a critical ear. 1.3 to 1 will smooth things out even more, and I think you're splitting hairs. It may be worth running a 1.3 to 1 on the compression, just to help it smooth out a little bit. The problem is you will have to reduce your input gain on your microphone, okay? I do run the limiter. Limiter is set at 5 millisecond attack time, which is very quick. Release is 50, hang time is 100. I don't get any pumping. It's very smooth, blah, blah, blah. Now the equalizer, what I did was I went in and boosted the energy. So I have, this is 3 kilohertz. I have the Q set at 14.5, and you can see this. This is 3 kilohertz on this spike right here. And the next one down should be that's 2.48. That's this one right here with a fairly modest Q, but it's kind of broad. And then I have a bump at 1.6 kilohertz with a fairly steep Q right here. And then you'll notice the bottom, I set this at 60 hertz on the bottom and pulled this slider down, and it rolled off everything. Now, keep in mind, I also have the high and low pass filter engaged, right? So anything that's trying to sneak through ain't going to come through. It ain't coming through. So when you listen to this audio right now, what I have, this is direct out of the rack, and this is what I'm hitting the radio with. So now I'm going to key the radio, and I'm going to show you what it sounds like on a 3K-DX. Okay, hang on. Okay, so this is the 3K-DX profile. So this is okay, so I can't talk. I can't talk because there's a little bit of latency there. So I'll start stumbling. So you'll notice when you look at the spectrum, right, she's still a little heavy. But if you look at the high-end energy, the energy is there. Okay, now I am listening. What am I listening at? Hold on. Let me come over here. So I'm listening at 70 hertz to 3 kilohertz. All right, so let's expand this out. So you can see that there's a big gap right here on the right-hand side. And this is, so this is 70 hertz. Where are we at? So this is right about in there on that line. Let me expand it out a little bit more.
So you can see, here's the filter edge right here. You see how this is still sneaking out? So this is still pushing audio out around 70 hertz, but it's way down, right? So that is the, and if you look at, I always try to go by, so if I say Sierra, Sierra, Kilo, 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 Tango, 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 that is about 90% of the low end energy. That's what you want. It's still warm enough to listen to and tolerate, but it's not so over the top that it's just, if your signal falls into the noise in QSB, you're going to be fully readable and fully copyable. That's what you want, right? So let me unkey.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to, let's load up this one. This is the 3K, a 3K low frequency roll off. Okay, and let's load that in here. Okay, and we'll go through the equalizer, we'll take a look. We'll see that this is a little bit different. You notice that I have 100 hertz pulled up a little bit, but I have a steep cut coming down beneath 100 hertz, and I have a much more robust boost on the top end up at 2.5 and 3 kilohertz. So if we go over here to filters, you'll notice I have the roll-off, the high pass, on the bottom end at 100 hertz. So it's stripping everything out below 100 hertz and everything above 3 kilohertz, right? So we'll go over to the limiter, equalizer. AGC is off, compression 1.2 to 1. So what I'm going to do, let me kick the monitor on, put the drive at 0, and I will mute my microphone audio, and I'll key this up and put this through to the video. Here we go.
Okay, so yep, we have audio. So this is the 3 kilohertz, 100 hertz low frequency roll off. All right, so we are still listening at roughly 3 kilohertz bandwidth, and that is that one. So let me jump out of here, and we're going to go to the, and I'm not going to bring the microphone back in to the, from the rack. I'm just going to stay on the radio. So give me a moment, and you can watch what I do here. I'm sorry about that. I forgot. I forgot to turn the monitor on. I'm sitting here running my trap. Anyways, you can see. Sorry about that. I'm not going to redo the video. So anyways, let me run through. This is a 3.6 kilohertz bandwidth. I have the radio set to the 3.6K. The AGC is off. You can see the equalizer is a little bit different. I have a lot of energy in the top and the upper mid, with the Q set a little bit broader. And we go to the limiter, same compressor, same No noise gate. But if we look at the filters, you can see that 3.6, I have low pass at 3600 and the high pass at 60 hertz. All right. This is for the bada boom. This starts putting you into the SSB Voodoo type stuff. Here we go. We're going to the 4K. Okay, we'll take a look at this. Oh, I got to change. Hold on. Okay, this is running about 4 kilohertz down to 70 hertz. So if you notice, I have plenty of energy in the top end. About 80% Tango, Tango, Sierra, 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 Sierra. That's about 90% on the top. Let's do a walkthrough here. I've got my high pass set at 60 hertz, low pass at 4 kilohertz. Well, let's chip bump. Compression is the same, limiting is the same. Let's go to the EQ. You'll notice the EQ is still a little bit different. Again, I've got a hump at, I put in a hump at 500 hertz to get a little bit more energy in the mid-range. So it doesn't sound, it doesn't sound like I'm talking through my nose, which can happen if you don't bring enough mid-range in. I've got a pretty good bump at 1.6 kilohertz and a big bump in the upper mid. And you'll notice here I've got EQ all the way out to 4 kilohertz with a fairly broad Q. 3.3 something kilohertz, 3 kilohertz, 2.5 kilohertz, a little bit of a bump there. And then a low frequency roll off. I move this down to 39 hertz down on the bottom. To get that, I got to get that like really ultra guttural bottom end, that roaring thunderous. That's great, but it just becomes excessive at some point, and it hurts the copyability, and it just doesn't sound good, right? So that's what the curve looks like. All right, so
I'll unkey that baby. Mute that. So that's basically it. All right. Really, really nice, man. Works good. I'm so thrilled. Got it sort of under control. A little bit more work to do, but pretty darn good. So don't be afraid to use these. I'm going to go ahead and get them up on the website, and we'll see y'all later. Figured I'd demo this really quick. 7-3 guys, catch you later. So this K1GMM, I'm out.